Hey, yeah, I'm back from Formnext. It was really cool to meet a bunch of you, and it's now up to me to edit the almost 6 hours of footage of all the stuff that I found interesting. But we're gonna kick this off, of course, with the biggest announcement of the show, the Prusa Core 1 tool changer using Bontek's index system. I did manage to grab Joe Prusa, but the crowd was crazy around their booth, so short interview and I'll add some context here.
The specialty of the index system is exactly this. The tools are passive, and that means that they are small and it is super space efficient. And adding more tools is also very cost efficient. So we can have, I don't think it's possible to do any other way to have like true multi-material 8 tools in such a small footprint. We've been doing multi-color and multi-material printing for 9 years now. Started with U1. We've perfected the filament switching with U3. Then we introduced our XL. We call it now active tool changer. That means that there's an active electronics on the tool itself all the time. And that is the main difference here.
Now, of course, compared to what they call an active tool changer like on the XL, passive hot and only changers can't preheat their tools before they're picked up. So heat up times are actually a big deal when it comes to the overall time added to the print for every tool change. So of course, with the H2C just released and that taking about 40 seconds extra per change, how long does the index take? And specifically, how much of that is the heat up time of the hot end?
4 seconds. So quick you don't have to care. Right now, in this, I would call it like super safe mode. We are at 15 seconds for the changeover, but we will be definitely below 10. The hardware development is done. Our firmware team is optimizing it. This enables extremely small wastes for priming. That priming tower for 8 unique materials is ridiculously small. But for the production, we will be priming off the bat, so we will not have any problems with dissimilar materials not sticking together in the priming tower. Prices are here. Yeah, I would like to compare, for example, to our XL, which is in the time ranges and waste ranges. So I'm very happy that we've been able to bring this technology down. So and the fact that we can compete with subsidized companies is very, 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 very nice. And it's not just that. I'm super proud that 2 European companies are teaming up and bringing something which does not have anything remotely similar in the finesse, I would say. The level of integration is much higher than, for example, when you do just the extruder. It's not just setting up steps and offsets and stuff like that. Now, the firmware integration and electronics integration is at much deeper level. What is great that we have a lot of stuff ready from the XLs. The big tipping point for the adoption of multicolor and multi-material printing was when we spent, I don't know, that was like 10-month project to implement the multi-material painting in the slicer. And I'm pretty sure that is the reason why it's popular in the industry now. I'm also very happy about the accessibility because there's just so many tools. We've made the top removable and very easy to access. So when you need to work with the tools, you can easily get in. But yeah, it's coming first as a kit on the Core 1. The fully built one and for the Core 1L is coming right away. We need to port our load cell stuff. This tool heads already have load cells for precise homing, everything. It's just still amazing to me.
Yeah, I think just the fact that there is going to be more choice for capable multi-material printers is awesome to see. I do have a Core 1L here, it's sitting there, but I haven't had the time to test it out yet. But yeah, because this is physically larger, there's also space for more tools, so that's going to be fun. Later in this video, I do also talk to E3D about what their take is on the new wave of tool changers. If you remember, they were basically the first ones to provide a tech demo platform of a usable tool changer. But E3D's work is also relevant for some of the other smaller announcements from Prusa that just sort of got lost in the wake of the Index tool changer. So let's speedrun through those. The Core 1 is becoming the Core 1 Plus, which is essentially just printed upgrades. The biggest one being the improved top vent that the printer can now open and close by itself by swiping at it with a finger attached to the toolhead. Neat. There's also the USS dry boxes. They sit on the printer and are pretty simple sealed storage compartments for filament with no active heating but easy access to the end of the filament and to the compartment for silica gel. Finally, they've got a new hot end upgrade that takes the extruder from a maximum 290 degrees Celsius up to 400, and that enables PPA, PPS, or PEKKCF filaments on the Core 1 series. That's all pretty incremental, but what I actually got really excited about are the two new toolheads that are coming for the XL, and those are a pick-and-place and silicone printing toolhead. Both those were developed externally as far as I understand, but Prusa will sell and support them like their own extruder tools. But first, this video has a sponsor and they fit in just so perfectly.
This part of the video is sponsored by Snapmaker and their new U1, and I'm here with Blaine. What is your favorite feature on the U1?
Speed. Gotta be speed. I love the fact that it's super fast, that it can outcompete almost anything on the market in terms of multicolor and multi-material printing.
So it has a true tool changer. It swaps the entire nozzle, the entire extruder, everything stays connected. It can preheat even while the other tools are still printing.
And the tool changer makes a lot less waste, of course, and then it also handles multi-material really well because you're not cross-contaminating with the same nozzle, of course.
And what I really like about your approach is that you're running on open source tools. You're running on Orca Slicer, you're running on Clipper on the machine, and you're not locking down anything about the printer and the way it's built.
Here at Snapmaker, what we've always been good at, I think, is hardware. That's our core competency.
What Blaine is referring to here is Snapmaker's line of multifunctional printers that includes the Artisan, which can be used with heads for 3D printing, laser cutting, and light-duty CNC milling. Because great open source tools to run the printer are already available, they can make the hardware unique.
So we want to focus on that. Click, lock, pop, zap, boom. So we've grabbed these open source tools to make a printer that is fantastic and back on top for you. Our vision with this machine is this is the machine for everyone. And of course, U1 has just started its life. It's our little baby. We're going to take care of it. Don't worry. A long life, lots of upgrades ahead, lots of accessories and cool stuff coming down the pipe.
So check out the U1 at the links below. And thanks again to Snapmaker for sponsoring this part of the video.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Hey, and while Blaine is already busy with the next guys, Snapmaker are supporting the Stiftung Kinderzukunft, which is a non-profit to help kids in need here at Formnext. So do check them out at the links below and maybe give a buck or two if you can. Thank you.
Alright, back to the tool changing on the XL. I do want to start with the silicone printing toolhead. This was developed by Filament 2, and it prints really high definition bike handles, I was told. The material they're using is a 2-component platinum cured silicone, so it's a skin contact and food safe material. They're showing how different infill percentages can be used to vary the stiffness of the printed parts in different regions. Let me just pre-order one for research. The kicker here is that this doesn't use just tanks of component A and component B silicone, but you buy the material as a filament-like tube that's filled with either component. I was told this makes the toolhead cheaper and much more compact because you don't need the whole apparatus of high-precision dosage pumps, but just a small extruder-like feeder that pulls in the liquid filament. On the head, there's a simple static mixer nozzle for the silicone, and they're actually retaining the whole FDM filament-based toolhead as well, so it really is a super compact setup. And the results look really good. You can even use the rest of the printer to print support material with one of the FDM heads, as the silicone won't stick to it, or anything else for that matter. Of course, the liquid filament is going to be more expensive than just buying 2-part silicone in bulk. Filament 2 compared this to the process of making, normal filament, where yes, you can already buy the raw pellets in bulk for a fraction of the price, but the value of the plastic filament is not the amount of material you get, it's the fact that the extra processing that went into it makes it usable on a relatively simple 3D printer. Same with the silicone-filled liquid filament. The tech seems to work really well, and it could be a really good option for making one-off parts and personalized items where printing a mold might not be worth it or simply wouldn't allow you to create that internal geometry that you might lust for. Anyway, the other tool that they were showing was developed by the Zurich University of Applied Sciences for precisely inserting your nuts into parts as they are being printed. So it's a pick and place head that both has an electromagnet for things like square nuts and a small vacuum head for non-magnetic parts, similar to what you know from placing SMD components onto a PCB. And you could totally use this setup for that. It might not be the fastest thing in the world, but right now, if you want nuts, magnets, RFID tags embedded in your prints, you'd have to wait for the printer to pause at the right height and then add your inserts by hand. So it's a step towards automation. Right now, this is still a work in progress. Modifying the G-code to place your components at the right position, at the right height, is still a manual process, but I do respect their ingenuity when it comes to running the pick-and-place head with totally stock firmware on the Excel, as they're simply using the PWM fan signal on the toolhead as a universal output from the printer and as a command input for the toolhead microcontroller, depending on the PWM percentage of that fan signal. But this is something that will be a lot more streamlined and better integrated in the future. Right now, the core technology seems to be working well, so I'm glad to see the Excel is finally being used as a tool changer and not just as an extruder changer.
So to give a bit of context of all the new tool changing, nozzle changes, hot end intermixability stuff, we've got the traditional classic high-end, hot-end manufacturer E3D here. What are you guys working on that just works with everything?
Yeah, so we have just announced Obsidian 500. This is a combination of the good things from Obsidian, the standard one, as well as our HTA coating, which was a good up to 500 degrees, sorry. But that didn't have a non-stick coating on it. So this has 5 times the wear resistance of standard Obsidian, can go up to 500 degrees instead of 300 degrees, and still maintains the non-stick properties. So it's kind of like the one that will do any material you can throw at it type thing.
And you're putting this on bamboo hot ends, but you're also putting it on the extruder?
Yeah, they've just announced a new tool head, and yeah, that has the Obsidian 500 nozzle on there.
So that is something that goes on the nozzle, but we've also got something that's in the nozzle. That is, right now, it's a prototype. Just to make that clear, it is not something that is being sold yet.
Correct.
2026, so that is right around the corner there. Lighting. We can fix that in post. So this is it. This is your demonstrator model, basically, of what your new high-flow tech is. How is this better, different than the common high-flow CHT now?
So yeah, so this is a different approach to solving the problem of how do you make your printer flow faster? How do you print faster?
It is obviously working.
Yeah.
That is the nozzle being demonstrated.
Yes, so that printer, it's just a technology demonstrator at this point, but that's printing at 60 millimeters cubed from a 0.4 nozzle with polysonic PLA at 230 degrees, so within its normal.
That's a really important distinction to make. It is not being over-temped at all. This is at the rated temperature.
Correct, yes.
And it's a very simple geometry. Hard to manufacture, I assume?
Yes, that is the headache. What we found from our testing is you would expect to see an increase going to a high flow and insert, like the options that we already sell. I expect to see an increase again from the high flow to this Fuge ecosystem, which is the name of it.
So what does it stand for?
Fuge.
Fuge.
I think
it's like a big red F in there.
Well, I think there's plenty of time before it's going to be announced, so maybe interested to see what people think it might stand for. Maybe it stands for multiple things, you know.
This is going to be available on basically the major platforms sometime in 2026.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
No details yet, but maybe I can squeeze Claire for some other details, so let's go find her. Claire, you are head of commercial.
Yes.
So you can give the answers that nobody else can. So I guess the big thing with tool changes right now is, these are proprietary systems. Is that something that you would be interested in also being a part of? Because E3D was the first or one of the first companies to actually put a tool changer on the market. Is that something we could see coming back at some point?
It's an interesting question, which I obviously can't give a definitive answer to.
Okay, I tried. We chatted for another 15 minutes or so here, and yes, autofocus thought I was interviewing the plant, so I had to use some AI sharpening here. It makes it watchable, but our faces do still look weird. I've known the E3D team for a really long time now, and I've always gotten the impression that they genuinely care about 3D printing and want to push the tech forward for everyone. And I don't think that has changed at all. But nowadays, and I think pretty much like everyone else too, they also have to make decisions in a way that simply allow them to survive as a company.
Since, circa 2022, things have really changed. Those patents have gone from several hundred in FDM per year to many, many thousands, tens of thousands per year.
As one expires and makes it usable for everyone, hundreds come in its place. Yeah.
And I think that we've all realised that we have to be a part of that to protect what we're doing. What you do with that patent doesn't need to be patent trolling, frankly. You can be collaborative with it. It's more about protecting your own ideas so that you can then do with them what you want, which hopefully is continue to push the industry forwards.
There is one thing you want to do and one thing you have to do, and those don't always line up.
They don't, and it's really frustrating, and it's really unfair on the small players, the startups, who haven't got the funding to file IP. Behind the scenes, often you don't know what's going on between businesses. People might think we're all enemies. And just like a really interesting example that happened earlier this year is, they won't mind me saying because I have checked with him, but Big Tree Tech, BQ, brought out a product which actually infringed on some IP in the market. We approached them. We told them this is what we think's happening here. You might want to have a little look. And you know what? I am so excited about their response because it was so positive and well received. So that they agreed and they actually pulled a product from the market, from the whole European market, rebranded it around the rest of the world. And as a result of that, what's happened is that BQ and E3D are now actively collaborating on a solution which works for them and works for everybody else involved as well. So really happy with the outcome, and I think they are as well. Nobody needed to know about this. We all just sort of did it behind closed doors, but it's something that I wanted to bring up because I think it's a really great example of competitors being very respectful of each other and trying to move the market forward in the correct way.
Hope we're going to see more of that instead of everyone fighting each other.
I think we will.
Nobody needs that, yeah.
Yeah, E3D is all about collaboration, and I think if we push that message enough, then everybody hopefully will see the light. Fingers crossed.
Let's try.
So there you go. Lots of new stuff from the OGs of 3D printing. I have 2 more videos from Formnext, and then we'll be back to regular scheduling. Take care of yourselves, keep on making, and I'll see you in the next one.